You ever look at a news story and just get that feeling deep down that our system of justice, it's just not cutting it? That something fundamental is broken? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. We're going to explore what happens when justice fails, and we're going to do it through the lens of two really powerful ancient figures.
We all know her, right? This is Justitia, or Lady Justice. Her image is everywhere. The blindfold, for impartiality, the scales to weigh the evidence, and the sword to make sure the ruling is enforced. She is the symbol of the justice that we as humans build.
But here's the really tough question we're tackling in this explainer. What happens when that blindfold starts to look less like impartiality and more like, well, like willful blindness? What happens when her scales start to tremble under the weight of money and power, and her sword just stays in its sheath? Okay, so to really understand what happens when justice breaks down, we first have to get a super clear picture of what kind of justice Justitia actually represents. Our source material calls this temporal justice.
Think of it this way. Temporal justice is the justice of the courtroom, of the police station, of laws passed by governments. It's the whole system of rules and punishments that we've created to keep society running, day to day, here on Earth.
And what's really key here is how this slide breaks down her job. Her justice is all about procedure. It's not cosmic, it's practical. She's weighing the case, not the person's soul. She's focused on actions and evidence in the physical world, what we can see and prove, all to keep society in some kind of balance. So when you boil it all down, Justitia's message is pretty straightforward. It's about cause and effect right here in our society. You do something and the system is supposed to respond in a measured, proportional way. At least, that's the idea. But here's the thing. Temporal justice is only half the story. Now we're going to meet Justitia's much older, maybe even scarier counterpart, Nemesis. And she represents a totally different kind of justice. Now, this is a way deeper concept. Eternal justice isn't a system that's run by people. According to our sources, it's more like a fundamental law of reality itself, something that's self-correcting. It doesn't need to be administered, it just is. And just look at the difference. Nemesis isn't blindfolded. No way. She sees everything. She's not just handing out punishment, she's restoring proportion. And she's not really concerned with a single crime, but with hubris, that incredible arrogance of power that just goes way too far. She's not a judge applying a law. She is the law, a cosmic principle. This right here, this captures the difference perfectly. Justitia says your deeds have consequences. Nemesis, on the other hand, says your very being has consequences. Her focus isn't on what you did, but on the massive imbalance your arrogance has ripped into the fabric of existence itself. So this table just lays it all out for us. You've got Justitia with her scales and sword, and then you have Nemesis, whose instrument is the cosmic measure, or metron in ancient Greek. This is all about the idea that there's a proper limit to things, and when someone's ego or power blows past that natural limit, Nemesis steps in. So one is the justice we do, the other is the justice we are. So here we are at the crucial point. What actually happens when that first system, Justitia's system of man-made justice, starts to buckle and fail under the pressure of the real world? Let's try to apply this framework to a modern situation that, as our sources point out, has become a huge symbol of temporal justice failing in the public's mind, the Epstein case. Now, to be clear, we're not here to talk about guilt or innocence. We're looking at this as a kind of mythic pattern. The sources look at this as a case where Justitia's entire world just seems completely overwhelmed. Right? Her scales can't weigh evidence that's hidden. Her sword can't cut through these incredibly complex networks of power. It stops being about one person and starts to feel like this collective institutional paralysis, where the truth just feels too big and tangled for any courtroom to handle. And this timeline from the source material really drives home just how slow and frustrating temporal justice can be. We're talking years, decades passing. Big questions are left hanging, deadlines are pushed way out into the future, and the whole process just feels unfinished. This is exactly the kind of thing that makes people lose faith that the system is even working at all. So when this happens, something really interesting starts to happen in our collective psyche. Justitia's symbols of fairness, the blindfold, the sword, they start to look like symbols of failure. And into that vacuum, people start searching for a different kind of justice, something absolute, something you can't escape.
The idea of nemesis starts to wake up. This line from the source material just nails it. When our own human institutions seem totally incapable of giving us a resolution that feels right, we start to hope for some kind of cosmic rebalancing, a feeling that the universe itself will eventually set things straight. So if our faith shifts from the justice we do to the justice we are, what does that actually mean for us? I mean, where does that leave a society when its own laws just don't feel like enough anymore? And this is the most important thing to get about Nemesis. She isn't about simple revenge. Think of her more like reality's immune system. When arrogant power creates a sickness that distorts the natural order of things, reality itself will, one way or another, push back to restore balance. This source material gives us this really powerful image to think about. Imagine Nemesis not as some angry god, but as this quiet force putting a hand on Justitia's shoulder and whispering this. It's not about throwing out human law, but about a deeper cosmic law that takes over when ours just can't get the job done. And that leaves us with one last big, provocative question to chew on. When the very systems we build to be fair seem to be failing us, is the belief in some kind of inevitable cosmic justice the only thing we have left that can restore our faith that, in the end, the universe does bend toward balance?